Have you been told that you've got raised fasting triglycerides? Perhaps you also have low HDL levels and you've been told that you may be developing metabolic syndrome. What are the natural ways of improving this situation? I'm Dr. Rawat, an Indian origin, England-trained, Canada-based family physician who additionally studied nutrition at Harvard and founded healthgroupcoaching.com, where I coach clients on the reversal of metabolic disease. In this video, I'll try to explain to you using a diagram, which is a map of your metabolism, on why you're getting high triglyceride and low HDL levels and what you can do to reverse it. If you understand why it happened, you'll understand how to reverse it much better. This is a map of your metabolism, and using this, I'll try to explain to you why fasting triglycerides go up, why the HDL is low, and if there are scientific ways in which lifestyle and diet can be used to reduce triglycerides and increase HDL, how those things actually work. So let's start with a guide around this map. This here is a faucet. It's your calories coming in. This can come in the form of sugar or fat. This is essentially energy. This sink here is your blood sugar, also your triglyceride level. Sugar comes from carbs, triglycerides come from fats, but they can also be converted from excess carbs. And you have a certain level within the sink, which gets measured on that blood test. This here is the drain, the calories out. Now, there are certain mechanisms in your body which try to maintain these at a homeostatic level, at a normal level. One of those is insulin, a hormone. The organ pancreas secretes insulin, and their job is to get rid of excess sugar. But generally, now we don't recognize this as much because we don't go around measuring our body fat levels, but the job of insulin is to dispose of energy, excess energy in the bloodstream. And this can be in the form of sugar as well as in the form of triglycerides. And there are various things which can be done. You can be active, you can do exercise, and you can be burning energy. So that's like your engine room or where your gas boiler is in your house. You can also store energy, particularly carbs, in the storage room right next to the gas boiler. This is your glycogen stores in your muscles. The larger your muscles, the more glycogen you can store. Excess energy can also be stored as fat for the longer term. But there are two ways where this can be done. It can be stored under your skin as subcutaneous fat, which means fat under your skin, and this is safe fat. This is actually the fat that you see for the most part, but it's not metabolically unhealthy, and that's why you can have clients with quite a large BMI who are metabolically healthy, because most of their fat is the healthy variety. It's the subcutaneous under the skin fat. However, this is like storing excess energy in your garage. Some people have a triple garage, some people don't have a garage. There's a lot of variation, and this is due to genetic, epigenetic, and environmental causes. As an example, if your ancestors lived mostly in tropical countries where you didn't need a lot of insulation, so you didn't need a lot of fat under the skin, then you will have lesser stores of fat under the skin. Also, if your ancestors went through a lot of scarcity in the form of famines, floods, droughts, wars, migration, then they would have certain epigenetic genes turned on, which would promote more visceral or central fat buildup into the liver and around the belly. And this is akin to that camel which has to traverse through the desert and has a hump on its back. That's just a survival mechanism which is turned on because of those events. In any case, once there is no more energy left in the subcutaneous fat, then the only place left is where it's not as safe to store energy, which is around the belly, visceral fat, metabolically damaging fat, and within your organs like liver, pancreas. And in fact, fat gets stored within muscles as well. And in people who have insulin resistance and metabolic disease, muscle biopsies also show marbled appearance of the muscle where there is fat infiltration into the muscles. This is all called ectopic fat, which means fat which shouldn't be there. For the liver, for example, it's normal to have up to 5% of your liver made up of fat, but anything more than 5% is ectopic fat. Eventually that ectopic fat starts causing damage. As an example, a client with type 2 or type 3 fatty liver would see their ALT, AST, gamma GT levels going up along with increased persistent CRP levels or markers of inflammation. This is because they're suffering from lipotoxicity, which means that the excess fat is damaging the liver cells. Those liver enzymes which are raised in the bloodstream are not supposed to be there. They're supposed to be inside the liver cells, but it's because the membranes of those liver cells are being damaged by fat cells that those enzymes are leaking into the bloodstream. That's a marker of non-alcoholic steatohepatitis or NASH. Because damage is being caused by fat, those organs then develop a certain insulin resistance. It's like a gang which comes up trying to stop excess fat from being transferred into the liver and organs. A bit like having bouncers at a nightclub saying they don't want more people coming in because there are already too many people inside. It's packed inside and already there's a riot going on. And this is called the twin cycle process of insulin resistance. It's like a fight ensues between pancreas on one hand and the liver on the other hand. Pancreas starts pumping out more and more insulin, trying to push energy, excess energy of course, into all of these places, particularly into unsafe places like the liver and pancreas itself and muscles, while this insulin resistance gang is trying to fight the insulin. Eventually the pancreas starts losing that fight, which is when the blood sugar levels and blood triglyceride levels start going up. So what your raised triglyceride and sugar level is saying to you is that you have an energy metabolism problem. Your stores of energy have run out. Not only is there energy now being stored in the form of triglycerides into places where it shouldn't be, but because there is nowhere for this energy to go, the levels stay persistently raised in the bloodstream, which is why, despite having fasted for a period of time, your fasting triglycerides and your fasting sugar is still raised. And this is why triglycerides is recognized as a marker of insulin resistance. The other thing which is also often present in metabolic syndrome is low HDL. What is HDL and what's LDL? Well, these are transport molecules of fat. So it's a transport molecule which comprises of fat and protein, and its job is to transfer triglycerides. The job of LDL, also called bad cholesterol, is to deposit fat into the body. So the job of depositing fat is done by the bad cholesterol. And HDL is involved in reverse cholesterol transport. So the job of HDL is to suck out fat. So when fat needs to be burned, fat needs to be removed from your fat deposits around the belly, in the liver, in the muscles, under the skin. This is when your body needs to recruit high density lipoproteins to pull the fat out. And this is why these particles are associated with favorable and unfavorable health outcomes. When you have higher LDL levels, it's correlated with increased risk of heart disease because you naturally have more fat depositing activity taking place in your body, while increased HDL levels, which is good cholesterol, which is really a transport molecule, is associated with favorable heart outcomes because you have more fat burning taking place in your body, more reverse cholesterol transport taking place, which will mean less ectopic fat, less fat in the blood vessels, less blockages. There is one more thing which we didn't mention, which is your gut microbiome, which you can describe as a thermostat controlling the entire process. So what's the natural way of reducing your triglycerides and increasing your HDL? Well, again, this map of your metabolism can help you. The most important thing is to get into a negative energy balance. Over time, you have stored a lot of excess energy in your body. You now need to utilize it. You need to have less calories coming in relative to the amount of calories that you are utilizing, so that your body needs to burn fat. There are many ways you can do this. You can do this by consuming fewer calories through calorie tracking. You can do this by consuming more whole foods. So focusing on foods which have a higher nutrient density and a lower calorific density. You can do this through intermittent fasting. And there are certain extended benefits of fasting in addition to calorific restriction, because when you are fasting, say for 14 or 16 hours, preferably later in the day, I do recommend the ETRF form of intermittent fasting, focusing on consuming calories early and not consuming it later to keep it in line with optimal energy balance and energy partitioning. You get prolonged periods of time when your insulin levels are low, and because insulin is your fat storage hormone, it also makes energy unavailable to you when it is chronically raised. So why is it that a person who's got 100,000 calories stored as body fat still feels fatigued and tired all the time? And one reason for that is chronic raised insulin levels, because the energy which is inside their fat cells is trapped there by the fat storage hormone insulin. So fasting has been shown to reduce that. There are other reasons as well while those people could be feeling fatigued, including general deconditioning, including possible obstructive sleep apnea if they snore, as well as nutritional deficiencies when clients are consuming a high calorie, high sugar, high fat diet, but having a low nutrition diet which contains fewer vitamins, minerals, protein, healthy omega-3, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory agents. You can also make this equation favorable by doing more exercise and generally becoming more active. So first track how many steps you're walking and perhaps double it. If you're walking 4,000 steps, try to get into the habit of walking perhaps 8,000 steps. Resistance training helps. If you have larger muscles, you'll have larger stores of glycogen, and that is a safe storage of energy. Unlike storing energy within your liver and around your belly, your energy balance is mediated by your gut microbiome. If you consume more fiber, recommendation is anywhere from 25 to 40 grams per day, then you will improve your metabolism in several ways. Fiber by producing a cellulose mesh, particularly soluble fiber, stops the absorption of cholesterol, triglycerides, and the absorption of sugar, glucose. This would not only improve your triglycerides and your sugar, it would also reduce your calorific intake. Other forms of fiber, such as insoluble fiber, feed your gut microbiome, which produces beneficial chemicals like butyrate, propionate, lactate. These are called short-chain fatty acids, which then produce beneficial chemicals like GLP-1. I'm sure you've all heard of Ozempic, peptide YY, and neurotransmitters like GABA and serotonin for improved mood and cognition. So the gut microbiome is like that thermostat. You can feed the gut microbiome with fiber and fermented probiotic foods. There's even evidence that when you have a healthy, non-dysbiotic gut microbiome, that gut microbiome, those bacteria, actually consume more calories. So they take more of your calories from your food and you absorb fewer calories. So even resetting the gut microbiome will have a positive energy balance because you'll be consuming more calories within the bacteria of your gut, which then don't go into your bloodstream. Even changing your diet to a more whole diet will also improve that calorie balance, because foods which need to be broken down by your body, so foods which contain more fiber, more food matrix, and more protein, have a higher thermic effect, which means your body has to consume more energy to break down that food. And also, those foods often are not even fully absorbed, so you don't even get all the calories from those foods. As an example, eating a whole nut will be less absorbed calorie-wise in your body than nut butter, because the nut butter is already broken down and all the calories get absorbed, while even up to a third of that nut could be present in the excrement. So replacing ultra-processed foods with less processed foods and more whole foods helps this whole process. So reduce saturated fats, reduce refined sugars, increase whole foods, reduce ultra-processed foods, increase omega-3, increase exercise, increase your muscle mass, get into a calorific deficit. These are all the things you need to do to reduce triglycerides and increase HDL naturally. Certain supplements can also help, and you can head to my website healthgroupcoaching.com to the blog titled Reversal of Metabolic Syndrome for those supplements, including omega-3, fiber, and certain types of probiotics. I hope you found the video useful. Make sure you share it with any friends or family who might benefit from this information. If you'd like to receive direct coaching with me, you can visit me on healthgroupcoaching.com. The coaching program is divided into monthly batches. Each batch receives 8 video group coaching sessions on Zoom, which are 1 hour each, typically Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evening Eastern Time. And participants also have the option to participate in biometric tracking, which includes sharing all your biometric data in real time on an app called Chronometer, which also includes direct messaging with me, through which I can adjust your health activities like calories, macros, exercise, sleep, fasting, etc. For more information on that, you can check out the tracking on the program page of my website, and do check the testimonials of hundreds of people who have gone through the program. If you'd like to watch more videos, then click on those links and I'll see you at the next video.